I pointed to a picture on my phone, a designer vinyl figure for $385. Honey, look, I said, my voice full of excitement. The collectible I've wanted forever is on sale again. Can we finally get it? My wife, Chloe, didn't even look up from her screen. Something that costs almost $400? Can you eat it? Can you drink it? Ethan, you're nearly 30. Why are you still acting like a kid? Have you forgotten how hard we had it when we were starting the company? I pressed my lips together and said nothing. But the next day, her assistant, Leo, posted a picture on his Instagram story. It was a solid gold, life-size figure of a famous cartoon character, a global limited edition of only 10, made for the company's anniversary. The caption read, "Thanks to my amazing boss for the gift. She always knows exactly what I love. I'm a collector. I know a piece like that isn't something you can just buy, even with money. On the reseller market, it would go for at least $1 million. And yes, the person who gave it to him was my wife, Chloe. The assistant was a fresh college grad she'd hired 3 years ago. Seeing the post, I felt almost nothing. This kind of thing had been happening for the past 3 years. For example, at home, Chloe bought me a little electric scooter for grocery runs. For her assistant, Leo, she bought a Maybach. My clothes were all from outlet mall clearance racks. She'd buy a huge pile of whatever was on sale, and while I had plenty of shirts, the whole lot of them barely added up to a few $100. She'd try to explain it away. Remember when we were just starting out? I love hunting for deals like this. We bring home armfuls of clothes and have so much fun trying them on together. She claimed doing it now proved her love for me hadn't changed. But she and her assistant wore bespoke suits and couture dresses that cost tens of thousands, chalking it up to business needs while insisting the discount stuff was more comfortable. Out of 10 times she took me out to eat, 8 were at a greasy spoon diner. The other 2 were at a food truck. For my birthday, she gritted her teeth and treated me to Shake Shack, and she still ordered one of the combo meals to save a few bucks. Meanwhile, she and her assistant dined at Michelin-starred restaurants. For his birthday, she booked out the entire top floor of the most expensive hotel in Seattle to celebrate. I saw all of this on his Instagram. When I'd ask her about it, she'd just say it was an excuse to entertain clients, brushing me off with some flimsy reason. But she seemed to forget I'm an Ivy League grad. I built this company from the ground up. I'm not an idiot. Did she really think I believe that? After the company stabilized, she said one of us needed to focus on our home life. She was a classic type A, a workaholic, and could never give up her career, so I was the one who stepped back to take care of the house. She didn't want to hire a housekeeper, claiming it would ruin our private time together. Back then, to placate me, and probably because she knew how much I loved her and didn't see me as a threat, she was open about the corporate structure. I still held 70% of the company's shares. The CEO title was technically just delegated to her. If I ever wanted to come back, she would have to step aside. I never argued with her because I still loved her, but now that love is gone. I'm done being a doormat. I'm going back to take what's mine. I've had enough diner food, and I'm sick of that damn scooter. From now on, I'm driving luxury cars and eating gourmet meals. Tonight, just like any other night, I made 4 dishes and a seafood soup. For the past few years, I'd waited on her hand and foot, making her life ridiculously comfortable. She didn't have to lift a finger for anything. But people are like that. The easier something comes, the less they cherish it. When I first quit, she used to come home and drape herself over me, thanking me for taking such good care of her. She'd say I was the best person in her life, that not even her own parents had treated her so well. But eventually, she started taking it for granted. Now, she comes home, tosses her coat on the sofa, and barely acknowledges me. If she's in a good mood, she'll take a few bites of the food I made and say, "Delicious," like she's praising a child. If she's in a bad mood, she'll just scowl, shower, and go to bed without a single word. She came home early tonight, around 9. When she saw that I wasn't waiting for her to eat, her expression soured. "Ethan, I haven't had dinner yet. Why did you already eat? Go make me something else." In reality, she ate out every single night. If she was happy, she'd humor me with a couple of bites. If not, she just claimed she was too tired and had no appetite. I mimicked her usual detached tone, staring at my phone without looking up. "How many dinners do you eat in one evening, Miss Collins? Your assistant just posted on Instagram an hour ago. Something about the best boss ever treating him to a feast at the Emporium. Are you hungry again already?" Chloe's face flushed with embarrassment. She wasn't expecting me to call her on it, but she was a veteran of the boardroom and quickly composed herself. "Oh, that? Leo closed a huge deal for the company today. I was just rewarding him. You know the saying, you've got to feed the horse if you want it to run." I kept my eyes glued to my phone, my voice cold. I guess I've been away from the business for too long. I didn't realize assistants were closing huge deals now. Chloe's brow furrowed in annoyance. Ethan, what is with you tonight? Every word out of your mouth is dripping with sarcasm. You don't believe me? Fine. Come to the office tomorrow and ask around yourself. I remained unmoved. It's not just tonight. I don't believe you. I haven't believed you for a long time. I was just trying to save you the embarrassment by not saying anything. You said you had a team-building event, but Leo's Instagram story showed you two at a nightclub. You said you were scouting a new location out of state, but his post was from a high-end spa day. You said you were working late, but he posted about you taking him to see The Irishman in a private theater. So tell me, Chloe, why the hell should I believe you? A flicker of panic finally crossed her face. Honey, it's all a misunderstanding. You know how Leo is, he's just a kid. He posts things about us together to show off to his friends, to make it seem like he's valued at the company. His actual skills are still. Stop, I cut her off. I don't want to hear your excuses. I'm sick of being stuck at home anyway. Tomorrow, I'm coming back to the office. I'm taking over as CEO. That was always our agreement. What? Why would you stir things up now when life is so good? Are you lacking for food? For money? You don't have to worry about a thing at home. You eat and drink, well, every day. Do you have any idea who I'm working myself to the bone for out there, leaving early and coming home late? It's all for this family. Anyone else hearing that might have been moved, but I was the one living it. I knew the truth. Oh yeah, life is great, I scoffed. Your assistant and I both drive luxury cars. His is a Maybach. Mine is a Razor scooter. He wears bespoke suits. I wear clothes from the clearance rack at Marshall's. For his birthday, you rent out the most expensive hotel in the city. For my birthday, I get a burger at Shake Shack. I'm done pretending. Show me another multimillionaire who lives a more pathetic life than I do. Chloe's face went pale. I already explained all of that to you. And you think I believe any of it? I'm going back to the company tomorrow. I'm telling you now, so you have time to prepare. Also, I want you to wire half of whatever is in your personal account to me tomorrow. I'm tired of having to beg for $300 to buy a stupid collectible. I didn't want to waste another breath on her. I started walking toward the study. As I passed her, I leaned in and whispered, that gold figure today must have cost over $1 million, right? You really know how to spend big. Her body jerked as if she'd been zapped by electricity. A visible tension seized her, and she couldn't even look me in the eye. I was already in the study before she moved from that spot, completely frozen. The next morning, I woke up early to make breakfast. Just as I lit the stove, I heard the front door open. It was Chloe, back from buying breakfast out. She beckoned me over enthusiastically, setting out chopsticks for me. Honey, I've thought it all through. I'll drive you to the office today. I'll give you back the CEO position. How about I become your assistant? Seeing my silence, she pointed to the sofa. And those are 2 custom-tailored suits I had made for you. You can wear one to work. My personal account has $210 million in it. I've already transferred $110 million to you. After breakfast, I tried on one of the suits. It was too small. This wasn't custom-made for me. It was clearly made for her little assistant, and she just hadn't had a chance to give it to him yet. I went back to my room and put on my own best casual outfit. When I got her car, she saw I wasn't wearing the suit and looked confused. The custom suit didn't quite fit, I said with a slight smile. Her gaze, which had been fixed on me, suddenly darted away. She seemed flustered. Oh, maybe I remembered your size wrong. It's my fault. Work has been so crazy lately. I've been a bit neglectful. I must have been thinking of your old size. Honey, when we get to the office, I'll have them take your measurements again. We'll get 30 suits made, a different one for every day of the month. I turned my head to look out the other window, saying nothing. What size is she talking about? I always wore whatever was on clearance. Most of the time, I just grabbed an XXXL. If a smaller size was cheap enough, she'd buy it anyway and tell me to just squeeze into it. After all, the price was right. But it would be wrong to say Chloe had always been this cheap and cruel to me. We grew up next door to each other, classmates since elementary school. I was always at the top of the class, a straight-A student. Her grades were terrible, mostly because she never focused on her studies. She was always orbiting around me, one moment buying me a popsicle, the next carving a big eraser into a heart shape to give to me. When I got into a top high school, she went to work in a factory. Both our families were struggling, and putting me through school was a huge strain on my parents. Chloe knew my situation. Without a second thought, she followed me, getting a job in the city where I went to school. Her wages weren't high, but she'd keep just enough for her basic living expenses and give the rest to me. At first, I refused her money, but then she'd just buy everything I needed and bring it to me, saying it was non-refundable. On Sundays, when we were both off, she'd take me out. When we got hungry, she'd treat me to a big meal at a local diner. I'd always order the biggest bowl of pasta, and she loved the chicken noodle soup. After eating our fill, We'd spend the rest of the afternoon just having fun. We didn't have any money back then, but it was truly the happiest time of my life. In the evenings, before we parted ways, she'd half-jokingly warn me not to fall for any other girls. The truth is, I had that classic all-American look, tall, well-built, handsome, and smart. Plenty of girls in my classes tried to drop hints, but I always pretended not to understand. Chloe was so good to me. There was no room for anyone else in my heart. I swore to myself that after I graduated, I would give her the best life possible. After college, I got a job at a company in an emerging tech sector. Within 2 years, I'd worked my way up to manager. Once I had a handle on the industry, I quit to start my own company. I must have had incredible luck because we launched right as the industry hit its boom. My business took off. After Chloe and I got married, I handled R&D, while she, having been in the workforce longer, was much smoother with people and networking. She ran all the external business operations. We seized our chance and worked ourselves to the bone for 3 years, finally becoming a leader in the field. Once the company entered a stable period, we decided one of us should step back and focus on our home life. I suggested it should be her. We'd been married for 4 years, and work had always been too crazy. Now that we could finally breathe, it seemed like the right time to start a family. But she argued that my personality was too reserved. She said you could hire top talent for R&D, but sales had to be run by someone you trusted completely. The reason our own startup succeeded so quickly was because we had poached the top salesperson from my old company. So, I became the one to stay home and take care of her. I started focusing on my health, preparing to have a child with her, and I honored the promise I had made in school. All the money I earned would go to her, and I would live a clean life. Ethan, we're here. What were you thinking about? Chloe's voice pulled me from my memories. Nothing. Let's go. We got out of the car and walked into the building. Chloe had already sent out a company-wide memo that morning announcing my return as CEO. The employees all gave me a warm welcome. The only one who looked miserable was Leo, Chloe's assistant, who stood by her side with a permanent scowl, occasionally shooting me a wounded look. There was nothing particularly special about Leo. He wasn't tall or remarkably handsome, but he had a soft demeanor, what people might call a bit effeminate. He had an uncanny ability to connect with women, seeming to understand them better than they understood themselves, and he knew how to play the victim. It might make other men's skin crawl, but to many women, it was utterly charming. I held a series of meetings, listening to reports from various departments to get a full picture of the company's current state. My passion had always been product development, so after taking over, I focused heavily on R&D, leaving most other operations under Chloe's management. The company had thrived under her leadership, so I trusted her abilities. In the days that followed, Chloe's behavior toward me seemed to revert to how it used to be. We worked together, ate in the company cafeteria together, worked late together, and drove home together. The knot of anxiety in my chest slowly began to unwind. Until one day, I had a breakthrough idea and hurried out of the CEO's office, eager to get to the R&D lab to share it with the team. As I rounded a corner, I heard voices from an alcove. It was Chloe and Leo. Chloe, Leo whined, his voice thick with emotion. Ever since he came back, you've been so cold to me. I think I might be getting depressed. The sky just looks gray all the time. Sometimes I feel like there's no point in living. I've even thought about. My wife's voice was filled with heartache as she comforted him, stroking his pouting face. I know I've put you in a difficult position lately, but he's my husband. Look, next month, our new branch in Portland is opening. I'll take you there for a while. Just bear with it for now. I'll make it up to you, I promise. Anything you want. Leo pouted, looking as if he'd suffered the greatest injustice in the world. Nothing can make up for the loneliness I feel when you're not around. What do you take my feelings for? Do you think I'm just some boy toy leeching off a rich woman? The more he said, the guiltier Chloe seemed to feel. Oh, my dear boy, don't cry, she cooed. How about this? You mentioned wanting to bring your parents here, but not having a place for them to stay, right? I'll buy you the biggest mansion in the most exclusive part of town. You can move your parents in, and then you won't be so lonely. Hearing Chloe offer to buy Leo a multi-million-dollar mansion, an offer made more easily than her refusal to buy me a $300 collectible, the heart I had just started to let down shattered into a million pieces. I turned and ran back to my office, terrified I would lose control and murder them both right there. Leo was silent for a long moment before nodding reluctantly. Chloe, I just want you to know that even my parents could never replace you in my heart. I missed my chance with you in this life. You have to wait for me in the next one. Before he could finish, Chloe threw her arms around him. Don't say that, Leo. In this life, I can't betray my husband. But besides myself, I can give you anything you want. Tears of emotion streamed down her face. And as Leo rested his head on her shoulder, A look of pure contempt flashed in his eyes. That afternoon, Chloe told me she had to step out for a bit. Unsurprisingly, her little assistant posted on Instagram shortly after a picture of a table in the city's most expensive restaurant, groaning under the weight of dozens of dishes. The caption, "My girl felt bad that I've been eating cafeteria food lately, so she spent 20 grand today just to cheer me up. I love her so much." Seeing his post felt like swallowing a mouthful of flies. My own wife was spending a fortune to keep her boy toy happy. I was so angry I lost my appetite, and after work, I just slumped over my desk to rest. When I finally sat up, I caught my reflection in the dark monitor. The coldness in my eyes startled even me. I cherished her. For her, I'd ignored countless girls in high school and college who were far better off than me. To keep my promise to her, I'd work day and night after graduation, taking care of her all the while. Only when the company was stable did I bring her in to enjoy the fruits of my labor. And this is how she repaid me. Fine. She left me no choice. I straightened my tie and called an emergency board meeting. I fired Chloe and Leo on the spot. Chloe wasn't under a formal contract since she was my wife, and finding ground to fire Leo was laughably easy. The moment I brought it up, people started listing his mistakes. There was enough to fire him 8 times over. The decision was effective immediately. I notified security that neither of them was to be allowed on the premises again. Any guard who let them in would be fired. Late that afternoon, just before closing time, Chloe and Leo finally showed up, driving her car. They were laughing and carrying shopping bags from several luxury brands. As they tried to enter the building, security stopped them. I watched it all unfold from my office window. Chloe and Leo gesticulated wildly, their expressions a mix of outrage and disbelief, but the guards stood firm. Then I saw Chloe pull out her phone. A moment later, mine started ringing. I let it ring, not even bothering to look at it. I just stood by the window, silently enjoying the show. After about a dozen missed calls, my phone went silent. The two of them finally gave up and left, with Leo looking back every few steps to shout something at the guards. Of course, I didn't go home that night. The company had executive suites for visiting clients, which were quite nice and clean daily. Every day for the next week, Chloe bombarded me with countless calls and texts. Eventually, I blocked her number and all her social media accounts. I didn't block Leo, though. I want to keep tabs on them, not because I cared what they were doing, but purely for the morbid entertainment. Sometimes, it yielded unexpected benefits, like gathering evidence for the inevitable divorce and for clawing back the money she'd given him. After a few days of not showing up at the office or calling, their public spectacle quieted down. But Leo's Instagram became a whirlwind of activity. The two of them were photographed at exclusive clubs, staying in luxury hotels, feasting on exotic delicacies, and traveling to scenic destinations. I saved every post as evidence. I knew Chloe was doing it to get a reaction out of me. She knew how much I loved her and was convinced I'd never leave her over something so trivial. 3 months later, a call came from an unknown number. I answered, recognized Chloe's voice, and immediately hung up and blocked the number. The next morning, I was in my office when a commotion erupted outside. The door burst open and Chloe stormed in, flanked by several of our company's security guards who were now acting as her bodyguards. My assistant followed behind them, looking apologetic. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Lockwood. I don't know what happened." The security team suddenly turned on us. By the time I realized it was too late, I waved a hand, dismissing him. Chloe told the guards to stand watch outside, then shut the door and locked it. I looked at her with a calm smile, as if she were a complete stranger. "Those guards," I said, "how much did you pay them?" Perhaps it was the distance in my eyes, but a flicker of pain crossed her face. "Just 10 years' salary each. You've always been so generous with strangers, Chloe." "Ethan, why?" she demanded, tears starting to stream down her face. She was the quintessential Iron Lady. I couldn't even remember the last time I'd seen her cry. "Can you please just tell me why you're doing this? You wanted to come back to the company, so I gave you back your position as CEO. You wanted half my money, and I gave you more than half. But why did you have to fire me and Leo? How have I treated you? Search your conscience. Was any of that something you let me have, or was it something I gave you unconditionally? Don't forget, I built this company from scratch after spending 2 years learning the industry and bringing my own team with me. The first 2 years were brutal, and I didn't want you to suffer, so I did it all myself. Working past midnight was normal then. It was only after the company was stable that I brought you in to enjoy the rewards. Then you said we needed someone at home, so I gave you control of everything. You gave me a $10,000 monthly allowance to cover all household expenses, and you still demanded a 4-course meal every single night. But the thing that broke me, I continued, my voice rising, was that collectible. It was on sale for just over $300, and you called me childish. Then you turned around and bought Leo a $1 million solid gold edition. He's 27, by the way. You asked me why I fired you? I heard everything you two said in the hallway that day. He said he couldn't live without you, and you stroked his face and promised to buy him a multi-million-dollar mansion without a second's hesitation. I asked for a $300 toy, and you lectured me for half an hour. Chloe, is the difference between love and not loving someone really that obvious? I thought I was over it, but as the words came pouring out, I couldn't control the years of resentment. After hearing me out, Chloe collapsed to her knees, shaking her head frantically through her tears. No, that's not it, Ethan. It's not like that. I don't love him, I swear. My heart has only ever had you in it. My feelings for him, it was more like I was trying to repay his kindness. Ever since he joined the company, he was so good to me. He was always there for me, congratulating my successes, encouraging me through my struggles. But I have boundaries. My bottom line was that I would never do anything to betray you. I told him that many times, but he would just say, you stick to your principles, and I'll stick to being good to you. I was so touched. I thought, since I could never give him the most precious thing a woman has, I could at least compensate him with money. It's just money, and for us, it's a drop in the bucket. I swear, I never did anything else to betray you. Her shameless justification made me laugh. Chloe, stop lying to yourself. The way you looked at him that day, with tears in your eyes and so much affection. I had never seen that look from you in my entire life. My heart died in that moment. You've been in the real world since you were a teenager. Can you name one single tangible thing he ever did for you? A few compliments? A few words of encouragement? That's what you call being good to you? A few nice words earn him tens of millions in gifts? Why am I even running a company? I could just stay home and praise you all day. You call what he does love, but everything I did for you was just what was expected. My words of concern were just nagging. Chloe, you don't deserve my love, I said, a long sigh escaping my lips. Let's get a divorce. Hearing the word divorce, her reaction wasn't as explosive as I'd expected. She just knelt there, completely defeated, and whispered, can we not? My voice was firm. No. Finally, she nodded. Before she left, she said, unblock me. It will be easier to communicate. I nodded and watched her leave the office. Saying the word divorce didn't hurt as much as I thought it would. Mostly, I just felt a profound sense of relief. Maybe my love for her had already been eroded, death by 1,000 disappointments. That night, for the first time in ages, I slept soundly. 4 or 5 days later, Chloe called again. She asked me to meet her at that ultra-expensive hotel. I arrived at 7 o'clock sharp. It was my first time here, and it lived up to its reputation, opulent and grand. Strangely, for peak dinner time, the place was completely empty. Had she booked the whole hotel? She'd done it before for Leo's birthday. Inside, the vast dining hall had only a single table set in the center. Chloe was already seated. She was dressed stunningly. Even at 30, she was impeccably maintained, her skin smoother than that of women in their early 20s. She was always beautiful, but tonight, she took my breath away. When she saw me, she snapped her fingers. A procession of waiters brought out the food, and then she dismissed them. She was the same as ever, hating to have staff intrude on her private moments. After I sat down, she came over to pour me a glass of red wine, then sat down next to me. Did you book this whole place out tonight? I asked, breaking the silence. It's a bit much for a simple dinner. I'm mainly here to discuss the details of the divorce. At the mention of divorce, her eyes dimmed. I didn't book the hotel, she said quietly. Well, so much for that theory. I guess I was getting ahead of myself. I bought it, she continued. From now on, this restaurant will only have one table, and it will only serve you. The wine I just sipped went down the wrong pipe. I started coughing violently, and Chloe gently patted my back. I was wrong before, Ethan. I ignored your feelings. The truth is, I've always been deeply insecure. You were always the brilliant student, and I was the screw-up at the bottom of the class. I was so happy that we were neighbors and could spend time together. When you went off to high school, I knew your family was struggling, so I went to work, hoping to ease their burden. But a good school is filled with beautiful, smart girls, and you were so exceptional. I was terrified someone would steal you away. That's why I take Saturdays and Sundays off to come see you, just so you wouldn't forget about me. I told you it was my day off, but where do you get weekends when you're working a factory? Later, you worked so hard to fulfill your promises to me, and I saw it all. I felt so lucky that I had made the right choice. But when you became truly successful, I got scared again. I saw all these socialites and celebrities throwing themselves at you. Even though you rejected them all, I couldn't be sure it would last. So I wanted you a home. The truth is, I was afraid of someone else taking you from me. But as you spent more time at home, you became ordinary, just cooking and cleaning, wearing plain clothes, not taking care of yourself. Meanwhile, I was out in the world, glamorous and powerful. I come home and see you in a tank top and shorts, and slowly, I started to feel disgusted. I felt like you weren't good enough for me anymore. If you hadn't reminded me of everything you'd done, I might still believe that. So when Leo whispered a few cheap sweet nothings in my ear, I fell for it completely. You were right. If I'd been thinking clearly, I would have seen he was just using me. It was all my fault. I betrayed our beginnings. If you want a divorce, I have no right to ask for your forgiveness. I don't think I can even forgive myself. But a divorce is a good thing, she said, her voice finding a strange new strength as she piled food onto my plate. That way, I could start pursuing you all over again. Ethan, you know me. When I set my mind to something, I don't give up. Chloe, do you remember when we first got married? I asked softly. After a long day at work, I'd cook dinner, and we'd sit up late, eating and talking about our childhood or funny things that happened that day. We were poor, but I was so happy. I was filled with so much energy every day, just trying to build a better life for us. When I was at home taking care of you, the best part of my day was the evening because I would get to see you, to talk to you for a few minutes. But you got busier and busier, not coming home for days at a time. When you did come home, you'd already eaten out. You'd just shower and fall into bed. I worried about you, but I also felt empty. And then Leo added me on social media, and I saw what you were really busy with every day. The first time I saw one of those posts, do you have any idea how much my heart broke? Chloe clapped a hand over my mouth, tears streaming down her face, begging me not to go on. Through her sobs, she managed a weak smile. I understand now. I even think about how I lectured you for ages about that stupid $400 collectible. That's not something I would normally do. But when Leo mentioned that gold figure, I bought it for him without a second thought. $1.2 million, and I didn't even blink. $400. I spend more than that on bottled water in a single day. She choked on her words, unable to continue. I stroked her hair, comforting her. Chloe, it's because you didn't love me anymore. By then, you were already fed up with me. It was never about the money. It was about the fact that the moment I opened my mouth, you were instinctively annoyed. You couldn't feel satisfied until you put me down. Chloe was silent for a long time. She finally wiped her tears. Ethan, I made up my mind. We'll file for divorce tomorrow. I was the one at fault, so I'll walk away with nothing. The company is yours, and the $100 million in my account, I'll transfer it to you. Can we just let all of this go? And then, I'll start pursuing you again. I didn't answer. I just raised my glass, clinked it against hers, and drank the wine in one gulp. The next day, we officially got our divorce certificate. I only took the company. I refused her $100 million, telling her that if she ever ran into trouble, she could come to me. We might not be husband and wife anymore, but we could still be friends. At a business gala a few weeks later, I ran into an old college classmate. Her name was Claire Sterling. I didn't recognize her at first. She walked up to me, studied my face for a moment, and then clapped me on the shoulder. Don't tell me you don't even recognize me anymore, old friend. Seeing the blank look on my face, she prompted, remember back when you played basketball, there was a girl who was always bringing you water? That jogged my memory. I hadn't played much basketball in college. Our school's team wasn't very good, but they recruited me during tryouts because I was tall. After a few games, I realized it was taking up too much study time and quit. Claire Sterling, I said, a smile breaking across my face. You can't blame me for not recognizing you. You've changed so much. You're even more beautiful now. It was the truth. Claire had been considered the campus beauty back then. Now her figure was even more stunning, more magnetic. Since when did you become such a smooth talker? I remember you being the quiet, serious type, she said, pulling out a business card. Let's connect. I dialed the number on her card and added her on social media, only then noticing her title, CEO of her own company. I remembered her family being well off in college. Their main industry, however, was now in decline, and she had recently taken over, actively looking for new ventures to pivot into. We talked for a long time that night. It was great to see an old friend, and we both probably drank a little too much. I tried to have my driver take her home, but she was completely passed out and I couldn't wake her. So I took her back to my place. Once we were home, I had the housekeeper help her shower and change into a pair of Chloe's old pajamas that had been left behind. I put her in a guest room to sleep it off. Lying in my own bed, I couldn't sleep. Claire Sterling. I remembered it clearly now. She had confessed her feelings to me back in college. It was during my brief stint on the basketball team. She came to every practice, and the moment I stepped off the court, she was there with a bottle of water. I originally thought she was a team volunteer, but I later found out she was buying the drinks herself. After one of the games, she told me how she felt. I told her I already had a girlfriend. She just smiled and said, "That's okay. I wish you both happiness." Her roommate later told me she cried all afternoon. Thinking about those old school days, a small smile played on my lips. It was funny. Back then, college felt like hard work. Now I realized how much simpler and happier it was than navigating the real world. The next morning, I was up early making a pot of seafood chowder. The housekeeper had just returned from the market with my favorite bagels. I knocked on Claire's door to call her downstairs. She appeared with her hair in a messy bun, her face free of makeup, looking even more adorable. "Are these your wife's pajamas?" she asked after taking a bite of a bagel. "Ex-wife, you're only 30 and you're already divorced?" she asked, looking surprised. "And what age would be more appropriate for me to get divorced?" I shot back, rolling my eyes as I ladled myself another bowl of soup. She realized her question had been tactless and gave an embarrassed laugh. After breakfast, just as I was about to drive her home, a massive flatbed truck pulled up in front of the house. On it was a transparent display case, and inside was a car that looked absolutely insane. After years of riding a dinky electric scooter, I didn't even recognize such a high-end vehicle. But I could read the words inscribed on the glass case. "To the man I love most, Ethan Lockwood." This was for me. While I was still trying to figure out who would send me a car, Claire let out a gasp beside me. "Oh my God, is it a Rolls-Royce boat tail? They say those are worth over $28 million. Then she saw the inscription. "Wait, this is for you." By then, I had a pretty good idea who sent it. Sure enough, Chloe's car pulled up right behind the truck. She was dressed to kill today, in a tight pencil skirt that perfectly accentuated her curves. She got out of her car and walked straight toward me, her gaze sliding past Claire without a flicker of acknowledgement. I knew her pride. She wouldn't stoop to the level of a common woman and demand to know who the person standing next to me was. "Ethan, do you like it?" she asked, holding out the keys for me to take. I didn't reach for them. I just smiled at her. "It's not a special occasion. What's with the gift? Besides, this is far too expensive. I can't accept it." The smile on Chloe's face vanished completely. "Do I need a special day to be good to my man? From now on, I will only ever give you the best." "It's almost noon. Let's go get lunch at the hotel," she continued, her voice softening. "I've closed the restaurant to the public. The only parts still operating are the guest rooms, the gym, and the spa. There's only one table, and it's reserved for us." As she said this, her eyes deliberately swept over Claire. Claire, having navigated the business world for years, understood the implication perfectly. "Well, you two go ahead. I actually have something to take care of," she said, nodding politely at Chloe before turning to me to say goodbye. Just as she turned, I reached out and grabbed her wrist. My action made both women stare at me with wide eyes. "I'm sorry, Ms. Collins," I said, my voice firm. "But Ms. Sterling and I already have plans for lunch. If you'll excuse us, and please, take the car with you. I won't be accepting any more gifts from you." With that, I took Claire's hand and started to walk past Chloe. The ever-composed, ever-proud Chloe froze for a split second. Then she lunged forward, blocking my path. She pried my hand from Claire's and then gripped mine tightly. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her expression twisting in desperation. "Ethan," she cried out, "I know I was wrong, but I can change. I only agreed to the divorce because I was confident I could win you back. You can't just use someone else to push me away, to put on a show for me. I admit, seeing you with another woman makes me panic, but we've been together for so many years. You can't do this to me." "And what did you do to me?" I shot back, my voice cold. "In all the years I was at home, how much time did you actually spend with me? This house was less of a home to you than a hotel. You drop by whenever you were in a good mood, take a few token bites of the food I made, and then claim you were tired and go to sleep. What did you take me for? Leo would post videos of you too, and your smile was so genuine, so happy. When he had a cold, you were so worried. At home, you wouldn't even pick up a bottle if it fell over, let alone cook. But you could cook a feast for him, clean his apartment, and wait on him hand and foot. If you had ever done just one of those things for me, my heart wouldn't have died. Chloe, you're a respectable woman. Don't make this ugly for both of us." I pulled my hand free, took Claire's again, and walked away, leaving Chloe crumpled on the ground, where she remained for a long, long time. Claire and I went to a very high-end restaurant known for its authentic cuisine. I ordered a few of their signature dishes from the menu and then handed it to her to pick some of her favorites. "This is more than enough for the two of us. We don't need anything else," she said, handing the menu back to the waiter. "I'm sorry about what happened back there," I said, pouring her a glass of wine. "That was impulsive of me." She waved it off. "Don't be silly. We're old friends. But I really had no idea your marriage was so." She trailed off, tactfully leaving the sentence unfinished. Seeing I didn't respond, she continued. "She was always so good to you in college. You two were always together on the weekends." My face was a blank mask as I nodded. "Yeah, My family didn't have much money back then. She worked to help ease the pressure. She was truly good to me then. That's why after graduation, I worked like a madman, started the company, did everything I could to give her a better life. I thought we'd be together forever, but I don't know when it all changed. I started downing glass after glass of wine, as if I'd finally found someone to listen. I told her everything that had happened over the years. Just as I refilled my glass, ready to drain it again, a soft hand stopped me. "Ethan, this isn't your fault," Claire said gently. "From what you've told me, I think I understand what kind of person your ex-wife is. She's someone who puts herself at the very center of the universe. She expects everyone to revolve around her. When you were in school, tall, handsome, with a brilliant future, she adored you and would do anything for you. After you got married and became just a regular guy at home, she forgot all the good things. She even grew to resent you. She has someone else in her life now. What is there left for you to hold on to? At least you two had something once. Some of us have gone this long without ever being loved by anyone." She snatched the glass from my hand and drank the contents in one go. I looked at her, saw the tears welling in her beautiful eyes, her pained expression making my heart ache. Maybe it was the alcohol, but I pulled her into a hug. Her body went rigid for a moment, then slowly relaxed against me. She didn't push me away. She just let me hold her and ramble on. I know we talked for a long time, but afterward, I couldn't remember a single thing I said. The next morning, I woke up in her villa. I was wearing pajamas and nothing underneath. She didn't have a housekeeper here. So did that mean? As my mind raced, she came in to call me for breakfast. She noticed me staring at her as we ate. "We're grown adults. What's there to be embarrassed about? You got sick all over yourself last night. I couldn't just let you sleep like that, could I?" She said it so casually, as if giving me a bath was the most natural thing in the world. "So did I do anything to you?" "No. You were so drunk you could barely stand." She studied my face. "Hey, why do you look so disappointed?" "Drank too much, missed my chance." "Of course I'm a little disappointed," I joked. "In your dreams, Mr. Lockwood. You definitely weren't like this in college," she said, rolling her eyes. "What if I was being serious? Would you still consider me?" I didn't dare look at her as I spoke, just kept my head down, shoveling food into my mouth to hide my nervousness. She was silent for a long moment. The silence was excruciating. Just as I was plotting my escape, she finally spoke, her voice barely a whisper. "Are you just trying to provoke your ex-wife again, like last time? Or are you serious?" "I'm serious," I said, without a second of hesitation. I was truly over Chloe. She had someone else. Why couldn't I pursue my own happiness? Is this how you confess your feelings? If I agree this easily, I'm afraid you won't cherish me." Although she hadn't said yes, I saw the flicker of joy in her eyes. Could it be that after all these years, she still had feelings for me? That seemed impossible. We hadn't spoken since graduation. It was more likely that she'd just been too busy with her family's business to focus on her love life. "Of course it can't be this simple. You just wait," I said, then bolted out the door. Over the next few days, I bought out every fireworks supplier in the city, even commissioning custom ones with our names on them. I knew she had a deep appreciation for classical Chinese art, so I hired a master jeweler to create a pair of matching rings for us. They were designed with intertwining dragons and phoenixes, each set with a flawless, top-grade imperial jade. The result was breathtaking. The artistry of a true master craftsman put the diamond monopolies that preyed on fools to shame. With the rings and fireworks ready, all I needed was the perfect place for the proposal. I chose a rooftop with the best view of the city skyline, had it lavishly decorated with flowers, and hired a team of celebrity chefs, servers, and a live band. Tonight, the entire city would know that I was asking Claire Sterling to marry me. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment decision. If I hadn't been so fixated on Chloe back then, Claire and I might have been the ones to get married and have a family. Many girls had confessed their feelings for me, but only two had ever been truly good to me, Chloe and Claire. I remembered how Claire used to bring me breakfast. As a man with a girlfriend, I didn't want to take advantage, so I offered to bring her breakfast the next day. But her family was wealthy. She'd bring me things like chicken soup and gourmet pastries. I couldn't afford to reciprocate and had to admit it. Understanding my situation, she started bringing extra, claiming she bought too much and it would go to waste if I didn't take it. To refuse at that point would have seemed petty, so I accepted, tried to repay her with things I could offer like tutoring and helping with heavy lifting. She knew I had a girlfriend, but she just continued to be quietly kind to me. At graduation, she had someone take a picture of the two of us. Since I didn't have a phone, she had a print made especially for me. After that, we lost touch. Looking back now, her kindness was so natural, so unconditional. That morning, I called her and told her to dress up nicely. I was taking her to dinner. I arrived at her office building early that afternoon. A few moments later, she came out, saw me, and ran over. She looked absolutely ethereal, like an angel, but with an extra dash of sensuality. First, I took her shopping, letting her pick out several outfits for me. "You don't mind if I dress you up according to my own tastes, do you?" she asked, though her hand never stopped swiping her credit card. "Not at all. A man dresses to please the one who delights in him, right? When did you become such a charmer? You used to be so reserved. So, which version do you prefer?" "I'm good with either." "Well, I guess I like them both." By the time we reached our destination, the sky was beginning to darken. When she saw the rooftop, covered in flowers with a live band playing softly and a table laden with all her favorite foods, she was so moved she began to cry. "Hey now, it's a little early for tears," I teased. "You ain't seen nothing yet." She laughed through her tears and playfully punched my arm. When we were nearly finished with dinner, we walked to the edge of the rooftop. A single, massive firework shot into the sky, exploding with a deafening boom that filled the entire horizon with glittering light. I had custom ordered it to be even bigger than the one that held the Guinness World Record. For the next 2 hours, a nonstop, spectacular display of fireworks lit up the night. The show reached its crescendo when the custom fireworks, spelling out both our names, burst across the sky. At that moment, I dropped to one knee, pulled out the rings I'd prepared, and proposed. She started crying all over again. "I thought this was a first date, not a proposal," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "I don't have much experience with this, so I figured I'd just get it all done in one go. Claire Sterling, I love you. Will you marry me?" The chefs, staff, and band members who had gathered around us started chanting. "Say yes. Say yes. Say yes." Claire covered her face with her hands. After a long moment, she finally composed herself enough to nod. She took the ring from me and helped me to my feet. I pulled her into a tight embrace and kissed her as everyone around us cheered. The effect was perfect. Everyone got a huge bonus. After the fireworks, we went downstairs to the presidential suite I had booked. It was decorated like a honeymoon suite, with a thick carpet of fresh flower petals on the floor and soft, ambient lighting. "This feels more like a wedding night," she whispered, looking at me with deep affection. Like I said, all in one go. That night was a blur of passion. I lost count of how many times we made love. We only stopped when we were both completely exhausted. She lay on her stomach, and I traced circles on her back, which was as smooth as porcelain. We talked for hours about the old days. She told me that after graduation, she'd gone abroad to study, then came back to take over her family's business. She'd never had time for a boyfriend. I chuckled. "Lucky me," I said. She shot me a glare and bit my shoulder hard. The next morning, just after dawn, I was woken by my phone ringing incessantly. It was Chloe. I answered. Her voice came through, frantic and panicked. "Ethan, that fireworks show last night. Was that you?" "Yes." "Were you proposing to another woman?" "What, was I supposed to propose to a man? How would you do this?" "I was just getting everything ready for you to propose to me." "How would you propose to someone else first?" "Ethan, I prepared a fireworks display that will last for 5 hours. And there are other surprises. Just wait for me." "Chloe, calm down. We're already div. Click." She hung up before I could finish. I knew her too well. She was the type to follow through on her threats. The divorce left her with $100 million, but after buying the hotel and that ridiculously expensive car, most of it must have been gone. I couldn't let her blow the rest like this. Even though we were divorced, I didn't actually hate her. I wanted her to be okay. If she needed help, I would give it. After all, she had once been incredibly good to me. But when I tried to call her back, she didn't answer. I sighed, tossed my phone aside, and went back to sleep. After that, Claire and I moved in together. I brought gifts to meet her parents, who were warm, easygoing people and welcomed me enthusiastically. We made plans to spend Christmas with my parents. I felt like a teenager again, caught in the throes of first love, filled with boundless energy every day. Until one day, I got a call from Chloe. She demanded I come to her place. I refused. She said if I didn't come today, I could come collect her body tomorrow. I went. It was a new mansion she had bought. When she saw me, she became ecstatic, acting like a giddy teenager, practically skipping as she walked. She grabbed my hand and pulled me upstairs. She threw open the doors to every room. They were all filled, floor to ceiling, with collectible figures. The last room contained a complete set of life-sized, 1-meter-tall golden statues of the entire Straw Hat crew from One Piece, my favorite manga. But I didn't like collectibles anymore. All I wanted now was to make money and build a future. I had once naively believed that no matter what I did, she would always love me. I was more mature now. None of this mattered. She watched my face expectantly. hoping for even a flicker of excitement. But the passion was gone. Suddenly, the front door was thrown open with a crash. Frantic footsteps pounded up the stairs. It was Leo. He saw the room full of statues and grabbed his head, letting out a tormented wail. "You crazy, spendthrift bitch. This was the last of the money, and you spent it all on him? What are we supposed to live on now?" Chloe spun around and slapped him hard across the face. "Who let you in here? How many times have I told you to stay away from me? It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, my husband would never have divorced me. Get out." She kept screaming, "Get out," punctuating each word with another slap. Leo finally shoved her away with all his might. "You pathetic woman. You didn't cherish him when you were married, and now that he's thrown you away, you're acting like the world's most devoted lover. Weren't you the one who told me you only loved me? That he was just a pathetic loser who wasn't worthy of you anymore? On your anniversaries, on his birthday, on every holiday, all it took was one phone call, and you'd come running to me, cooking for me, cleaning for me, waiting on me. And I sent pictures of everything you did for me to your husband. He's got some patience, I'll give him that. He dragged his feet for a long time before finally divorcing you. But even he left you in the end. Now that all your money is gone, I don't want you either." "Shut up," Chloe screamed, lunging at him like a wild animal, beating him relentlessly. The frail Leo was quickly overpowered and collapsed to the floor. "Honey, don't listen to him," she pleaded, turning to me. "Nothing intimate ever happened. We never slept together. I never cheated." "Ha ha ha." Cough. Leo spat out a mouthful of blood. "Your husband isn't blind. I sent him the videos. Me with a cold, and you taking care of me. You throwing me that birthday party. Sure, you always stop me before we went all the way, but do you really think that makes it clean? Ha 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 ha." At some point, Chloe had wrenched off the golden arm of the Luffy statue. She brought it down on his head again and again. Within moments, Leo stopped moving. By the time I realized what was happening, it was too late. Chloe, now completely unhinged and muttering to herself, ran out of the mansion. In the end, Chloe was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison. Later, after a psychiatric evaluation revealed she was mentally unstable, her sentence was reduced to 7 years, to be served after treatment in a psychiatric hospital. Claire and I got married. She gave me a son and a daughter, and our life was happy. One day, I received a call from the prison. Chloe wanted to see me. I went. She had aged considerably, a heavy weariness hanging over her. Only when she saw me did a little light return her eyes. "Ethan, you must hate me, don't you? We were both poor growing up, but you were different. You were smart. You had a future. I truly loved you back then. But later, I let you down. Even after the divorce, I thought if I was just good enough to you, you would come back to me. So I spent all the money from the settlement on gifts for you. It wasn't until I heard what Leo said that I finally understood where I went wrong. I know I don't deserve your love anymore. This is the last thing I have to give you. Please, you have to accept it. I won't bother you again." She shakily pulled a small, red paper packet from her pocket and handed it to me. I took it. As she turned to leave, I called out to her. "Chloe," I said, "I did love you deeply, and I was angry with you. So angry it made me sick. But I have never, not for one moment in my life, hated you. I will never forget how good you were to me when we were kids. You used to tell me you didn't like ice cream, then buy one for me. It wasn't until after we were married that I learned how much you love cold sweets. You said I needed to dress well for school, and even though you could only afford discount clothes for me, you, who love fashion so much, wore your factory uniform even on holidays. I remember every time we went to that diner, you would always give me half of your noodles, even though I knew you were still hungry. There were so many things like that. Chloe, I sold your car. The mansion, I have someone maintaining it. And the hotel you bought, I've been managing it for you. It's doing very well. All the money is being saved for you. You just focus on getting better. When you get out, you'll still be a wealthy woman. We may not be husband and wife anymore, but you will always be my family." Chloe broke down, sobbing, and ran back inside. Walking home, I opened the red paper packet. Inside was a crumpled wad of small bills. I counted it. $385, exactly.